the lights never truly go out inside Pelican Bay. Even when the night shift clock strikes midnight, and the rest of Crescent City is asleep, the Supermax facility hums with quiet tension. Cameras blink. Radios crackle. And in the rows of solitary cells known as the SHU, the Security Housing Unit, men whisper through vents, tapping messages in coded rhythms that only another inmate can understand. At 2:17 a.m. a correctional officer named David Morales was making his usual rounds. The corridors were dim, lined with concrete walls that seemed to absorb the sound of his boots. He had worked here for 15 years and knew that quiet at Pelican Bay didn't mean peaceful. It meant pressure, something simmering under the surface. As he passed one of the isolation pods, Morales noticed something unusual, a faint flicker of movement near cell 209. He shined his flashlight and caught a glimpse of a hand quickly retreating under the metal food slot. He leaned in, only to find a tightly rolled piece of paper tucked inside. It was a kite, an inmate message. Usually, these were about trade deals or smuggled items, but this one sent a chill down his spine. The note read, "Tonight's the night. West Yard wakes up." He froze. West Yard was code for a specific section of the general population, one known for housing gang members from rival groups, the Aryan Brotherhood and the Mexican Mafia. If something was about to wake up, it meant violence. Before Morales could radio it in, the prison's PA system crackled to life. All units, code red. Movement detected in D block. The hallways exploded with motion, officers rushing, cell doors clanging, alarms echoing through concrete tunnels. Inmates in the SHU began shouting, some banging on their doors. Through the surveillance screens in the control room, guards could see shadows moving in the dim recreation yard, contraband lights flashing. Like tiny fireflies. It wasn't a full-blown riot yet, but it was close, and then, all at once, the power flickered. For 3 seconds, Pelican Bay, the prison that never sleeps, went completely dark. When the emergency lights came back on, Morales saw something that made his blood run cold. A figure was lying motionless near the corridor gate. The inmate had been stabbed by something sharp enough to pierce a vest but small enough to be homemade. As backup swarmed the area, Morales knelt beside the fallen man. His eyes were open but distant. The shank, a sharpened piece of metal wrapped in tape, was still lodged near his ribs. On the floor, written in blood, were the faint words, "The night shift begins." The alarms blared again, louder this time. Guards sealed every section. No one in or out. From the upper tiers, voices echoed, "This ain't over." Outside, floodlights swept across the empty exercise yards, revealing a fog rolling in from the coast. Inside, everyone, guards and inmates alike, knew that what had just happened was only the beginning, because at Pelican Bay, the night doesn't bring rest, it brings reckoning, and tonight, something had awakened in the dark. By dawn, the chaos had been contained. No inmates escaped their pods. No guards were hurt beyond exhaustion. But the message spread fast through the prison system. Something new was brewing at Pelican Bay. Morales, sitting in the staff room with his hands trembling around a coffee cup, replayed the note in his head. "Tonight's the night. West Yard wakes up." Who sent it? Who knew? And most importantly, what was next? Just as he started to relax, a call came through the radio. "Unit 7, respond to C-block surveillance. You'll want to see this." Morales walked down the narrow hall lined with monitors. On one of the screens, timestamped just after 3 a.m. a shadow moved past a locked corridor, 1T. Hatch should have been empty, except the figure wasn't a guard. And it wasn't listed on the inmate roster. He leaned closer to the screen. "What the hell?" he whispered. The footage flickered again, and the figure vanished. Morales stood in the dark glow of the surveillance room, eyes fixed on the paused frame. The hallway on the screen was a dead zone, no traffic, no reason for anyone to be there at 3:02 a.m. Yet a shape had moved through it like a shadow slipping under a door. Not a guard. Not on the roster. And then it was gone. "Run it back 10 seconds, he said. The tech rewound, pressed play. The camera caught the figure again, tall, head down, hands tucked close, like someone hugging a bundle. For one frame, the face lifted just enough to catch the light. Not a face. A hood. A maintenance hood, could be a janitor, the tech offered. Janitors don't work C-block at 3 in the morning, Morales said. And they don't walk with their head down when they know there's a camera. He radioed the watch commander. Possible impersonation in C-block. Checking maintenance logs. Request K9 unit to sweep the corridor. The reply snapped back, copy. And Morales, watch your corners. He grabbed a flashlight and moved with 2 officers down the silent hall. The concrete drank their footsteps. The night inside Pelican Bay always felt like being underwater, every sound slow, every movement heavy. At the locked service door, Morales crouched. A smear of gray dust marked the threshold. On the hinge, a fresh scratch. Someone touched this, he said quietly. They keyed in, stepped into the service corridor, and aimed their lights forward. Pipes. Conduit. A set of utility panels labeled with neat black stencils: water, HVAC, power AUX. A soft drip echoed from somewhere overhead. Morales scanned the floor and found it, a tiny, rolled slip of paper near the wall bracket. A kite that he unrolled it under his flashlight. A simple line of block letters stared back: night run. West yard. Alarm equals noise. Power equals cover. He looked up at the office. RS. It wasn't random, he said. The blackout was planned. By inmates, one asked, or by someone who wants us to think it was, Morales said. They followed the corridor to the end where a grated door overlooked the western yard. Outside, floodlights cut through the fog, painting the basketball hoops and weight benches in hard white lines. Empty now. Still. A guard tower lamp tracked lazily along the fence line like a lighthouse beam. Then Morales noticed something just beyond the yard, a service cart parked beside an exterior panel. It should have been locked in the maintenance bay. He keyed his radio. Control, confirm a scheduled exterior service on West Yard. Negative, the speaker crackled after a beat. No service scheduled. Then someone is moving our tools. They sealed the service corridor and headed back, calling the K9 sweep. On the way, Morales passed the infirmary. Through the window, he saw a man laid out on a cot, the inmate who'd been stabbed earlier. A nurse adjusted his fore. His eyes fluttered open as Morales paused at the glass, and for a split second the inmate mouthed something. 2 words. Morales read them on his lips: not us. A knot tightened in his stomach. Back in the control room, the watch commander stood over a table map, plotting camera angles with colored pins. We've got 3 possible entry points for whoever used that corridor, she said. The service tunnel, the laundry pass-through, and this, she tapped the blueprint, the old HVAC chase. It goes up and over C-block. It's sealed, but seals break, Morales said. And our power flicker didn't come from the main grid. The kite said, power equals cover. That means whoever did this wanted the dark, not a shutdown. Could be a test run, the commander said. See how we respond. Or a message, Morales said, thinking of the blood on the floor. The night shift begins. The phones lit up. Sacramento wanted updates. Media trucks had parked at the outer gate. Families were calling. Inside, the inmates had picked up the change in tempo like animals smelling rain. Attention you could taste tightened across the tiers. Whisper networks flickered through vents and pipes. The prison never slept, but tonight it was fully awake. K9 units finished their sweep with nothing but the scent of oil and dust. At 4:12 a.m. maintenance reported a tamper mark on the exterior power housing, no real damage, only a loosened screw. A tease. A nudge. Like someone tapping the glass to see what moved. Who benefits? The commander asked. Morales thought of the gangs in the SHU who used silence like rope. He thought of the stabbed inmate whispering, not us. He thought of the service cart parked like bait near the power panel. Too neat. Too staged. Someone wants to stretch us thin, he said. Tire us out. Make us chase shadows while something else happens. The commander nodded. Then we get ahead of it. They called a controlled shakedown of D block and C block cells. Teams moved door to door, calm and methodical, searching vents, bunks, light covers. The unit's soundtrack was metal hinges, tape ripping, officers calling out, "Cell clear." Next. They found a few sharpened pieces of plastic, old contraband, not tonight's blade. They found kites with scribbles of dates and dots, like a math test someone forgot to finish. And in one cell, Morales found a cheap paperback with a square cut from its center. Empty. When he stepped back into the tier, the inmates in their doors stood watching him with flat eyes. One older man with a gray beard held up his hands and smiled without warmth. "Night's long, officer," he said. "Lots of time to think." "Thinking isn't the problem," Morales said. "It's what comes after." At 5:30 a.m. a pale line of dawn edged the sky. The worst hour was passing. Night crews were running on adrenaline and burned coffee. The commander began planning the shift change, careful to stagger routes so no group of officers walked alone, and then the radios exploded again. "Control to all units. Motion on West Yard. Northwest Gate. Possible breach." Morales ran. Outside, fog lay low like steam. The Northwest Gate looked intact until you were within 10 feet. One bolt on the inner mesh had been sawed halfway through, clean, shiny metal under dull paint. It wouldn't fail now. But soon. Another nudge. Another note saying, "We can touch the parts you think we can't." Morales felt the old helpless rage rise in his throat. Whoever was playing with them knew procedure, knew timing, knew just when the human part of the job, fatigue, frustration, would start to buzz like a bad wire that he turned as a maintenance supervisor hustled up, out of breath. "That cart," the man said, pointing to the one Morales had spotted earlier. "It was signed out under my name." "I didn't sign anything." "Someone cloned your log?" Morales asked. The man nodded, face pale. "Or used an old tag." The commander's voice cut in over radio. "All units be advised. Possible internal credential misuse. Initiate PIN resets and physical verification. Lock out maintenance panels until daylight." They reset codes, locked cabinets, posted extra eyes. The sky turned from slate to steel. The worst of the night was nearly over. It should have eased. It didn't. At 6:07 a.m. as the first day shift staged at the gate, the control room lights dimmed, not off, just a heartbeat's dip, and a chime none of them wanted to hear rang through the speakers. Not the riot siren. Not the fire bell. A different tone. Automated. Clinical, door control alert, West Yard, Cell Row D, cycle override requested. Morales stared at the main monitor. The system showed a command queue. "You'd for door D-17. Then another, D-19. Then, D-21. 3 doors, every other cell. Who's requesting?" the commander snapped. The tech's fingers flew. "It's not us," she said, voice rising. "It's local, like the command came from inside the block. But no one is at the panel." "Kill the request," the commander ordered. "Attempting, blocked," the tech said. "It's looping." On the screen, the countdown began. 5, 4, 3, Morales grabbed the radio. "All units to D block. Manual braces on cell doors. Now." Across the yard, officers sprinted. Inside the tier, metal groaned as hydraulics engaged. An inmate in D-17 pressed his face to the window, lips shaping a single word, "Ready." The screen hit 1. The locks thumped, and in the half-second of silence that followed, Morales understood what the night had been: tests, scratches, whispers, all leading to one move. 3 cell doors began to slide, and the prison that never sleeps held its breath.